live. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Charlie, the War Game Chat, our monthly show on YouTube. I'm your host, Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me are my co-hosts, everybody's favorite Gimp with the Limp, the TheGimpyGamer, Nate Rogers. How's it going, Nate?
It's going great. Nice to see you all again in person. It's been a little bit.
It's been
nice to have you in your house, I guess. Although we've all been busy with one thing or another.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's just been a very busy summer. And we also have with us the War Game Wizard from Oz, the notorious Kev from the Big Board.
Yeah, that's gonna stick, I think. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, so it's been as Nate was saying, it's been a very, very busy summer. I know Kev's been real busy with his moves and building a house and everything else, and I've been busy with moving out of one house and prepping the other house and moving into that, and we're mostly moved in, but we're moved in. We sold the other one and we moved in, but we're still unpacking and sorting and the whole nightmare that's a campaign. That's not a battle. So
at least you got the bar set up.
Yes, that was the first thing that moved over here. And what are you messing with on your computer? He muted himself. Can't hear you.
Such a rock star.
I'm a Marine. Give me a crown.
Can you
I'm
hear
a
me?
professional. Yep.
Son of a bitch. I've got like a loose connection or something.
You got a lot of loose connections, but we can't help that. We're not
Sorry.
psychologists.
Are we good now?
You're a little better. You can be boosted up a little bit, maybe. Let's see if we can tune you up a little bit.
I don't know what the hell's going on with this thing. All of a sudden, it just kind of got staticky. I don't know if my kids are playing with it or something. Oh, I gotta hit someone. They've been messing with my laptop, I think. I can hear you guys.
That's better.
Yeah, now you're better.
That's better.
A little bit of production wizardry behind the scenes, and you're good to go.
I think they're messing with my my computer because it seems like it's having issues. My apologies. Let me know if it keeps up, and I'll switch it out for a different mic.
No, it's good so far.
Oh, E4M and got GMT Caesar and Stalingrad in. Everyone's got it except for me. I'm getting
nice. Oh, the expansion. That's right. I forgot all about that. I got to get the expansion myself.
Are they still making war games?
They do.
Ooh.
Wow,
they've made a lot of war games.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Wow.
Yeah, they got Caesar and Stalingrad expansion. You know, the Stalingrad expansion I definitely need to get because Stalingrad 42 is a fantastic game. I need to play it more often. But
I'll be giving away a copy of that because I inadvertently ordered two, so I'll be giving one away.
Speaking of giveaways, the other night I was watching Stuka Joe's show, the fantastic bomb run show that he does on Sunday nights. Great way to finish out the weekend, although when you're finishing out the weekend means that Monday night is right around the corner. So that kind of does.
Yeah, that sucks. The
good thing is, though, is at least Joe kind of softens that a little bit by having his show, which is always great. But he actually did a giveaway for Donnerschlag the other night. He did two giveaways, and I actually won Donnerschlag. I was like, that's hilarious. He's like, you didn't get a copy? Everybody got a copy. I says, yeah.
Wait, is that the one by Volka?
Vuka, yeah.
I got a copy of that.
I know. I didn't.
Nobody likes me.
I didn't get a copy of it.
No, you got that another one.
I got Knock Paris. Yeah, so
Knock Paris. That's it. Yeah.
They had that and Crossing the Line too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do have something else which I would prefer to have rather than Donnerschlag, though, and I still need to get time to get it on the table. The Red Strike prototype. So that is awesome right there. So they did send that. I just have between the move and all this other stuff, and then I have two more Kickstarter prototypes I got to work on for Iron Thunder and also for Sparta, which I'll
are you doing Sparta?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just finished that one, and it's actually really good. I enjoyed it. I usually don't go for those area control type games, but that one's actually done really well. I gotta say, I like the back and forth, the way it works.
Surprising, being that you have bias according to Fango Wolf, but I know what he's talking about. He's talking about your video that you just released today about reviewer bias.
Well, I had some people commenting on that, and it kind of reminded me of that Dick Cheese comment from Facebook, a little while back. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do my own little video talking about bias so people know where, mine lies. And I think that it's almost impossible not to develop it over time. You're going to become friendly with people. I mean, it's just how it works. You become friendly with designers and publishers and stuff like that. And you just have to keep that in mind when it comes to people. And I've always told them, like, look, I'm not going to lie for you. I won't say something's good that it's not. I might not be as overly brutal to someone if I really like them as a person, but I'm not going to say a bad game's good.
Right.
You know, the what's that? They said like a paid review or a paid good review, something to that effect. But no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
your reputation isn't worth it.
Right. Well, usually what I end up doing is if someone sends me a free game and I really don't like it, I'll have very little to say about it, or I just won't post about it, and I'll offer to send it on to somebody, or I'll offer to do a giveaway, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But if I pay for it, you're just going to get really just the full show. You know what I really think.
Burned.
Yeah,
but
you just get what I think of it. Yeah.
I think we have to do the bad reviews too, though, because if we don't do it, then no one's doing them, and people aren't warned. So someone buys it and they find out it's crap. You know, I'd rather just do it and say, look, it might not be for you, you know, something like that. The things I don't like about it. That way they've got pre-knowledge before they go in, especially in today's world where you can't really afford games anymore, or they're charging $300 a pop for them now.
True.
Right.
True.
Good point.
But what happens when you review a game negatively because you didn't like it, and it is a very popular game?
You know, I made the distinction between that. There's a difference between personal preference, right? Like, I am not a huge Civil War fan. I'm not a huge Napoleonics fan. So I might not like those games, but it's just I'm not a game of that or a fan of that theme, right? So that's just difference of opinion. But that has nothing to do when it comes to the actual mechanics of the game. Like, what's it I've got on the damn table now? I'm brain farting out. Help me. The big one from Flying Pig Games. What?
Which one? Oh, the Long Road?
No, the Civil War one.
Oh, A Most Fearful Sacrifice.
Yeah, Most Fearful Sacrifice. I'm not a big Civil War fan, but I like that game because I like the mechanics of the game.
Sure.
Right? So there's a difference. I don't care for the theme, but I like the game itself.
Oh, yeah. No, you can not be a fan. Like I, myself, I'm the same way. I am not a big Civil War guy. Or Napoleonics. I like maneuver and things like that. My fighting or my war games, I want good fighting like that. Civil War is interesting. It's not that it's not interesting. It's just not my go-to. And Napoleonics, it's just like I probably wouldn't even pay any attention to it.
But there's no maneuver.
Well,
there's no maneuver.
There can be. So that's just because you don't know, right? I mean, so that's not a fair comment to Napoleonics at either the tactical scale or the operational scale. So that's
he likes Napoleonics.
No, he's right.
Whether I did or I didn't, right? Whether I did or I didn't, that's just not right. That's not a fact.
Yeah.
I know. I'm being.
I mean,
okay.
maneuver,
So, all I'm saying is that's not accurate, right?
Faster maneuver. Yeah, you're not going to get the same type of maneuver. Maneuver is critical for Napoleonics, in Civil War, because how else are you going to get your formations into position to deny areas or to attack or defend or whatever? Me, I want the maneuver warfare is what I should have said is maneuver warfare more than maneuver. Yeah. But I want maneuver warfare. That's what
I understand. I understand why they fought that way. The rifles weren't really accurate, ball ammunition. It wasn't rifled. Most of them weren't. So you were just kind of massing your fire and hoping to hit something. So I understand why they kind of did the things they did, but I definitely would not have wanted to be a soldier in that time frame, staring down the guns and just marching towards them. To me, that seems like a bad idea when you could just lay down and not get shot in the chest.
Combined arms. Pretty much what the Russians are not doing in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Actually, speaking, I'm not going to change the topic, but I was thinking about this the other day. I think we are seeing another shift in how warfare is conducted now. Think about it. It's always changed with the invention of the bow and arrow. You got range combat, or the fact that gunpowder got rid of body armor, knights and stuff. That now we're seeing where armored vehicles just don't have the prevalence on the battlefield. that they used to, because a man-portable weapon can destroy an armored, a billion-dollar armored platform, right? For the cost of a missile. So warfare is going to change in the modern age to something different. And I am so hoping for Mech Warrior. It's there. We can do it. We got to make this happen.
So E4 Airmen, let me ask you something. How'd that maneuver work out? With their moving about work out for Stonewall? Not too good.
Yeah, but it comes to the point about maneuver. There's lots of tactical choices in tactical level games for American Civil War and Napoleonics, and then at the operational scale, that's where ACW shines. Like the great campaigns in American Civil War is an awesome system. If you want maneuver, right? How do you beat your opponent to the objective, or how do you stop him from getting to the objective? And there's lots of good stuff there. But anyway, it just doesn't have tanks and dice with lots of different icons on it.
Well, I don't care about the custom dice. I do care about.
I know someone does.
Nate loves those custom dice.
I'm tired of D6s. You got a D6 in every damn game. It's like if they want to do something different, roll 2 of them. Wow, new
D6 is really versatile. So you know.
No, a D6 is not versatile. A D6 is a cube. Come on, the cavemen understood that cubes don't roll. That's why I push that double 6 dice, because it's 2d6 on at least a d12. At least that's
round. You hate d6 so much that you got one NS2 on it.
Shut up.
You don't have no comeback for that.
Yeah, that was a good bird. But no, I just square dice. You've seen the D6s in almost every game. I'm like, oh my god, it's a D10. Thank you for something different.
Well, if you stop playing Euros, you'd have games that have D20s and D10s and D8s and things like. Oh, got something in your eye, bud?
Yeah, just a little something.
Is that our buddy?
No, she was coming to tell Daddy goodnight.
Okay.
She loves me.
Going back just for a moment, what you're saying about things that are changing right now with the way warfare is changing. One thing to bear in mind, there's drone use. Someone mentioned in the audience drone use and the HIMARS and all these javelins and you name it that they're using right now. I don't want to jump on we're changing warfare bandwagon too quickly, because warfare always evolves. Every time there's combat, you learn new tricks. But what we're seeing, the successes we're seeing, are due to really bad policies and bad operational procedures and things like that. If you use combined arms, you're not going to be as successful. That's just fact, as we've seen. You won't be. So that's something to bear in mind when we see these things that are successful, and we get all hot and bothered about different things. The HIMARS rockets are great. Don't get me wrong, but a rocket can only do so much. You still need guys on the ground that are going to take areas. So those are things to keep in mind. But it's good to see these things evolve. One thing that really gets me the most out of this whole thing is drones. How you could take a stupid drone from like Walmart, essentially, throw it up in the air, and you're gathering intel. And you're there you go.
All right, Kenna, say good night.
Night. All
right.
Good night.
Go.
You're gathering intel, and you're also directing fires, things like that. So that's an incredible return on investment.
Oh, sure. Well, also when they're dropping mortar shells and whatever it is, they're popping off those things, and then using them to guide in guided artillery rounds onto tanks, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think that's more of a game changer than that. I think we're getting overly excited about the TikTok wars, where we're seeing who blew the turret the highest, and all of that nonsense. And I don't think we're seeing the whole story, and we probably won't for a long time. So.
No, and that's the thing too about when you have a current conflict going on, especially one as we talked about this, called the TikTok wars. It's so misreported, unreported. disreported and misreported. There's so much misrepresentation and disinformation coming out of both sides. And from all, the media sources are getting it from on the ground. We don't have embedded reporters. The reporters that tried getting in there, some of them got killed. So this is not being reported by eyewitness, accounts on the ground from, unbiased reporters or what's the word I'm looking for, like a third party. So you're going off of what both sides are saying only is what we're relying on, unfortunately. So you're going to get bias
propaganda.
You're going to get propaganda.
Yeah.
And you're also going to see videos like the one I always go back to is that one where the tank was coming down the road. And that, I think it was not the Javelin.
Yeah, it was Javelin.
They popped them from the woods. And initially, when the video first came out, you saw the one tank get popped, it rolls down the road, and then it starts brewing up. And the troops all dismount, they run to the other side of the road. The APCs kind of also do the same thing, and that's it. They cut. They never showed the rest of the video because at first they were just saying, oh, look at the Ukrainians kicking the hell out of the Russians. And then when you see the whole video, you see the two tanks that were behind them, they put themselves front forward slope facing the target and just hammered the area and destroyed those guys. So that's what I'm talking about. We're not getting full information, and we're not going to until this is all over. And even then, it's going to take years to really sift through all the stuff to get to actual nuggets of truth.
Yeah, there's still no win for Russia, though.
No,
there is no outcome of this that ends with them winning in any real fashion. It's just how badly are they going to lose?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest losers of all this are the Ukrainian people, and that's the thing that everyone keeps getting so wrapped up in the Ukrainian government, the Russian government, Putin and Zelensky. What about the Ukrainian people? These are the ones who I think about the most. You've got a war that's going on with these two guys and these two countries, and these are the people who are being displaced. Kev, you've been involved in working with some of these unfortunate refugees, and it's terrible what they're going through.
Yep. And they're also coming from that. Ukrainians are coming from the refugees that we know. Their life over there, the money they make, they grow all their own vegetables, all their own fruit. They use their money to buy clothing for their kids and meat when they can. That's the life they had, and they were not poor by any means. And they can't go to church. They're afraid to discuss their religion in public or with anybody else. They were astounded that we prayed before meals. So aren't you concerned that people will say something?
Yeah.
Because we'd go to a restaurant and we would pray for a meal. I mean, people don't realize that it's only a few steps better than whatever we think how bad Russia is. It's not an awesome place, and I don't think either country has a lot to be proud of with its historical track record. That aside, as you said, the populace, these people are suffering. They've got her husband's over there fighting, and hopefully he'll make it back at some point. But it's a miserable situation. Anyway.
That's what drives me nuts about so many Americans today, because they have no idea how good they have it, like how truly blessed they are to live where they do. I've traveled in a lot of these war zone areas and seen the lives these people are living, and to hear Americans complaining, like those 3 chicks that went apeshit up in New York because they had to pay $1 something for some barbecue sauce or whatever the hell they wanted. It's like if that's all you got to complain about in your life,
first world problems.
Yeah, just shut up. Nobody cares. I can't tolerate that bullshit. I know we're way off topic here.
Yeah, going back on topic. Now going back on topic that you said that as well, that means that people should stop bitching about errata.
Yeah.
I know. I think we have a viewer here who believes that there should be no.
I know Jester is here. He's a big firm believer that errata should not exist, and if there is, it's a failed game. So
what game doesn't have any errata? You've got Academy Games, and they take 10 years to put out a game. Yeah. Other than that, everyone else has errata.
The ones that would be closest to errata free, my light keeps going off. I would say the ones that are closest to errata free would be Rogers Games and Revolution. He really works his games real hard. They're pretty rock solid, but they also only produce a few games a year. So that's the trade off. You can really work it hard and only produce a few games a year, or you can work it as hard as you can and based on the teams that you have involved, and then put out more games. And then you can put errata out later. Errata happens for various reasons. So, it's just one of those things that if that's the worst thing we got to worry about, if the game's, workable, you just have a few sentences or a couple pages worth of stuff that needs to be corrected. Maybe even some counters need to be replaced. It's really not the end of the world. I don't hear you. I think we're going to have a, let me see here.
Are we going to need to do a sound check before we start these things?
Hello?
Yep, I hear you.
There you
Okay.
go.
You don't want to know what I was saying there.
Oh, I think we guessed.
All right. What I was saying is you got two very good examples, right? You got Compass Games that puts out a buttload, and you've got Academy Games that barely puts out anything. Academy Games very rarely has errata, and Compass Games has not too much. I would say a little bit of errata per game on average. What would you prefer? I mean, there's benefits to both, pros and cons, but I kind of like having a lot of variety. I like knowing that there's a bunch of stuff coming out. American Tank Ace, Enemy Action Kharkov, Sensuicon, and was it Sniper Ace or something else they got coming out?
Sniper Kill confirmed.
Sniper Kill confirmed. I'm really looking forward to that one. I mean, they just got a long list of good shit coming out. I'm like, okay, I can deal with a couple of, a paragraph's worth of errata.
Right. Well, it's also how they deal with it quickly, right?
Yeah.
So Compass has lifted its game a lot, and I would say, from my perspective, and I don't buy all of their games because I can't afford to. I still think the prices are too high for me for what you get to buy everything. I would buy a lot more if it was more economical, but it's not. So same with MMP. They're not alone in that. But I would say that one of the things that Compass has done really well over the last 2 years, from what I've seen, is they've lifted their quality, number one, of components and the responsiveness to the customer about replacement counters and getting errata out and communicating a lot better. They've done all that stuff like a grown-ass company, right? They're every bit as good as GMT is, if we use GMT as the gold standard, which everyone, there's a pretty big group that think they're the best. I'd say they're on par with GMT when it comes to quality of customer support, supporting a much, much higher volume of games than GMT puts out. They may do lower unit counts, but they're doing more games per year than GMT at this moment.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what.
So I think more games, better developed and well supported is a winning formula versus one game a decade, as you said.
Well, here's a good point. Not to cut you off, but here's a great point right here that Brian makes. I probably wouldn't even notice the most errata until it's pointed out. I bet you most people wouldn't. Really. Just the loudest people will.
It depends. There's like the Vietnam game Compass did. I'm sorry, the errata was pretty severe on that one.
Hearts and Minds.
Yeah, Hearts and Minds. That one was pretty bad.
Was that the Starkweather one? Or was that the other one?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Mo, do you remember?
No, that's not Starkweather. That wasn't that Paniski? I think it was John Paniski did that one.
Paniski,
that was
yeah.
with Worthington.
Well, so he's had a tough track record, that guy, right? Paniski's had a tough track record. So
yeah, and that was with Worthington originally.
Yeah.
And then it ended up the third edition was done by Compass.
That's right. It was. That's right. Yeah.
So
what I was going to say about Compass is that I have, and I've mentioned this before, I have a couple of ways that I deal with companies. I've got a civilian account that doesn't have my channel attached to it, so it's just me. Yeah, it's the best way to put it. But basically, it doesn't let them know who I am. So they treat me just like they're going to treat anyone else. And Compass now they know both my accounts, so they understand who that account is. But before they knew that was me, they treated me well, responded quickly, addressed any concerns that I had. I never had a problem with them. They were always Johnny on the spot with whatever issue that I was having. So I mean, definitely A+ for them for customer service.
Yeah, no, I agree. And John's asking, what am I doing about errata for Compass Games? Am I supposed to be doing something that I'm not aware of?
Well, you work for them now.
No, I don't work for them. I do some work with them, and I do some work for them, but I'm not like a Compass employee or anything.
The fanboy.
No, I'm not a fanboy. I just get involved in doing a few game projects, and then I do the learner plays and things like that. Because we've talked about this in the past numerous times about how there's really no tutorials out there, no proper tutorials really for war games, and people don't realize how difficult it is. I mean, you look at like Rodney Smith, who does Watch It Play, covering all the hobby games. Even a hobby game with just a rule book of like 4, 6, or 8 pages, there's a tremendous amount of effort that goes into presenting that in a teachable format. So now you take that 4, 6, 8 page rule book, and now you put it up to 20, 30, 40 or more pages. Now you're talking about a much bigger and much more broader tutorial that becomes very difficult and time consuming. So that's where I was like, what's the best way to do it? And came up with the format that I came up with the learner play, and that's.
I think they're awesome videos. I would never do them, but they're awesome.
That's the other thing too. Most people wouldn't do them
because they're too much work, man. Those boot camps are the hardest thing that I do.
Yes,
by far over anything else. Editing all that shit together just takes upteens amount of time.
Well, your boot camps are awesome. I'm saying, but even most playing with the designer thing, there's lots of editing that goes into that. I want to play the games and have fun with them and experience them, and then share my experiences with them. And they end up, I think everyone knows they're my experiences. So you should never treat it as a tutorial. You're a dumbass if you do. I had someone post a comment the other day on Deadly Northern Lights, and I'd actually played it right. So it's that's 40 pages of rules, and the guy's like, "Oh no, this is how you do it, man. Are you saying this?" I was like, "It's no tutorial, bro. Yeah. I'm sharing with you my experience, and I'm talking through the exercise of rolling those dice.
Yep.
Take from it what you will." Ends up I was right, but
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people are wanting playthroughs, and the reason they want playthroughs is they want a cheap tutorial. Because it's like, you know what? If you're a war gamer, you have to understand that there's an amount of effort that has to go into learning a game, and there's various ways of doing it. You can watch it, tutorial if there's one available, or you can watch a playthrough. But buyer beware, because whoever's doing that playthrough is not necessarily always going to be playing the game right. Because how many times have we played a game the first time? Played it wrong.
Of course. And it's so funny because people get pissed off. I've seen people get ticked off on Gimpy's channel when he makes a mistake or whatever, or people will say stuff to me, and I'm like, bro. Now we've had this conversation before about go do it yourself, but I'm the part of me wants to embrace the people who want the tutorials and say, hey, come visit my channel, visit Mo's and Nate's and whoever else is doing all those tutorial things, explainer videos. I want to embrace those people because you want them more gamers. But part of me is kind of like, you know what? There is a barrier to entry to the hobby, and you have to be able to read the freaking rule book. And if you can't, maybe you should go buy a simpler game and start there and work it out, and then move up into war games. But I don't feel like I should be obligated, and I'm not. I don't feel obligated, but I don't feel like we should be obligated to educate everyone and make it easy. Some dude was bitching about there being no, was it Vietnam? I think it was the new GMT Vietnam game. I think they're like, what there are all these specific war, Mark Herman specific war videos. Why aren't there? Where's the Vietnam stuff? And I said, dude,
get a camera.
It's a hard, number one, it's a hard game. And number two, it's long. And number three, go work it out.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, absolutely.
I've always made the point that when I make a mistake, I will leave it in if I
Right.
notice it. If I don't, someone will just let me know later. But if I notice it beforehand, I leave it in, annotate it, because I figure if I've made that mistake, someone else will make the mistake.
Right.
So
Right.
if I catch it, I'll annotate it. Hey, this is what I did wrong.
Yep.
Just so you guys know, don't play it the way I did here.
Yep.
Just for your own edification. That way,
You
in
know-
a way, they're kind of learning through watching.
Right. Well, coming back to the errata stuff, I think someone asked a question earlier on. Well, who plays with the errata? They just play the game out of the box.
Which one was that?
I get because
there
I do videos. I always check the errata for the errata because I do videos. Right. I think I would probably check anyway, just given the amount of errata that we do get for a lot of games, and it's usually within days, right? Which is kind of good, I think.
Yeah.
Getting fixes straight away. But the more video I post or content I write about a game, the more uptight and anal I get about getting it right, because I don't want to have to go back and do it again, and I don't want to have to rewrite something, and I don't want to have to re-record something, and I don't want to be wrong for people and then send them down the path, or God forbid I play the game wrong and then I go, oh, this game sucked, right? and
Worst game I've ever played. Oh crap! I played it wrong.
oh, right? Because then you're that guy, which has happened more than enough to me that I, when I can't get the right answer from a designer, and I'm not saying that 1914 Paris was is bad, but I struggled to get the answers I needed in the sort of the timeliness I wanted. And then I realized that I had played it wrong. I wrote a Facebook post and I had played it wrong, and I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm spun up around the axle. I'm out. I'm just going to take a break.
Way too much time spent on this right now. I need to take a break and recharge.
Take a breath, and take a fresh look at it, and come back to it, and we'll deal with it in a week or two. And otherwise, I'm just going to go, it's bullshit, right? When it's not. It's got lots of potential.
Well, see, that's the thing too about people in the hobby and people out there consuming content from content creators. There's nothing stopping other people from getting out there and creating content. And if you see an area that is short on something that you would like to see, whether it be tutorials or AARs or whatever, that you're not seeing, well, get your phone. Everyone's got a phone. Throw your phone up on a thing and shoot the video.
Yeah.
Just throw it on a simple tripod. That's what
anyone can make a crappy video. I do it all the time.
And I didn't mean that derogatory. I'm like, that's what you do. You throw your phone up on a thing and you talk. And
I do. That's literally what I do.
It's insight is what you're providing.
The phones are better cameras now than getting a real camera.
They are.
Right. Especially after that bullshit tax law from Europe that we have to deal with. Because I wanted to get a camera that could record for longer than the 30-minute mark. But evidently in Europe, they have that different tax law that if it records for more than 30 minutes, it falls under different laws and it gets taxed higher. So because of that, ours get manufactured to the same standards as theirs. And I'd gotten some big camera. I forget what the hell it was, Nikon, whatever. Nice big digital camera. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be great. And it worked great for taking pictures and film, but it would cut itself off. Yeah. And my videos are longer. When I usually run a 30-minute video, that means I've got an hour and a half worth of footage that I need to edit down, But the first time I tried that thing, I was talking and I was like, the hell? And I find out, when I'm 2/3 the way done with it, that it cut off half an hour back. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Phones don't do that.
Unless you run out of space and you went too long. So you got to be careful with that too. But that's actually funny, John. I see now why he was asking about the errata for Compass. He was trying to see if I would get triggered like Bill did. Well, it's Bill's company, so I would expect he'd be a little more upset over that.
Yeah. Well, he flipped.
Well, I mean, I get his point, and I can see where he's coming from. What he was getting.
Time out for 1 sec. Let's give everybody a little bit of context because they may not know.
Yeah, there's the Compass Town Hall that happens every 2 weeks. John does a show every week, every 2 weeks he does a show. One of them is with Bill and Billy from Compass Games, and then the other week he'll have like designer on or whatever and talk about different things. So there's always a show every Thursday with Compass. And 2 weeks ago they had a show and someone had brought up errata, and they were kind of picking on the errata for Compass. And Bill had, he's been frustrated with a lot of that, just the way it's been presented by people online and stuff. And he just kind of bit back a little bit. And
a little bit.
Well, I mean, he bit back a little bit, in my opinion. He just spoke it like, from the Northeast myself. So that's the way we talked. That's the way, at least when I haven't been up there in 20 years, but that's the way I grew up. You basically you're blunt and upfront about stuff. And he was talking, and I agree with him. His point is saying how Compass is kind of held to a different standard than others, and they get more grief over errata and stuff like that than say GMT or MMP or whoever else, and that immediately, of course, got everybody riled up. Some people, not everybody, but some people riled up saying, "Oh, they're picking on GMT." No, he was just saying how
by contrast,
there's a different when you look at it in comparison. There's a different set of standards that are applied.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point, right? Because I must admit, there was a period of time, and like I mentioned earlier on, the last 2 years things have improved a lot, right? I've posted videos about some of the Compass games that were just, some of them were a hot mess, and some of them had really crappy maps, and there was that crappy map period. So, and there've been issues with Korea and other bits and pieces. But overall, over the volume of games they've released, every release has seemed to me to be significantly better. And Bill's sending counters out to people without asking, right? It's just they turn up in the mail and you got them, and it's like, well, I don't have to call GMT and go, or worse still, freaking DG, where I've got to register the game with them, right? Because I'm going to steal some counters from you, haha.
Surprised they don't say, "Here, fill out this postcard and register your game and send it in." It's
so I think he does get a bit of they do get a bit of a rough run from that perspective, but I think they're still recovering from pushing out too much too fast, and they still, I don't know the inner workings of Compass, you probably do, but they don't have that developer interface as much as they used to. Now that's not true. So I do know that, like, what is it, Desert Generals, the game that's being developed now, I'm in that group of guys that's looking at that. I offered to look at the rules, that's all. Although I might play a game with you, but
the Sandstorm one?
Yes. No, it's some other game. It doesn't matter. It's super early. It's not going to be around for a while, so it's no point talking about it right now. But my point is, I said I wasn't involved, but I am. So yeah, I may be. I was involved. Let's put it that way. And so they do have a development methodology. It's just not someone that owns a relationship with the designer and says, "Nah, you need to stop. That's wrong, or that's not how we should do it. We could do it a different way. The company wants to do it this way. This is better for you and better for the company." I think I think that game developer role is really missing from Compass. And if they could get that, I think that would help a lot. And they may be doing that. I don't know.
For the final little tweaks and refines.
Well, but it's not even that. It might be rewriting the rules, because look, there was a game that I was looking at, and the rules kind of sucked. Right, that sequence of play was terrible. That's not a sequence of play, and I rewrote it and sent it to them, and I said, "This is how I would want to read this set of rules if I was going to play this game." I'm not saying you should change it to that. But this is a lot more readable, and fortunately it was into a little forum, and so everyone else had a look at it and went, "Oh, that's really good." So, that kind of got through the gate with the designer, and the designer was super open-minded to change and all that. He was no Richard Berg, right? So, it's a hard role, but it's more than just final tweaks. It's literally going, "No, or
Yeah.
yes, but, right? It's an important role, and it's
Well,
unsung role.
yeah, it's very true. Now, before we go any further, I do want to answer this. Tony is asking saying I should live stream the designer playthroughs, and we were doing that for a while.
Right.
And then when it came down to the time involved in trying to get a designer to sit down, and we're trying to schedule out one of the Wednesday nights that they can sit down, and then getting people to show and everything else for them, it was becoming it was too much of a chasing our schedules. So I says, you know what, the easiest thing to do is let's just do the video, edit it, post it. It'll make it easier on me and the designer, and the interaction is still there. You can ask questions on the YouTube link and everything else.
They're so much better because you don't have the 4 hours of waffling, right?
Yes.
And all because look at us. We're supposed to be talking about what we played this summer. We haven't started yet, and we're 45 minutes into the freaking show. But my point about that is that the designer, they can, kabuki kabazi, right? They're all talking about whoever or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Pontificating about the tank bore. Who knows? Or the
one thing I will tell you, that live playthroughs or the recorded ones, just as an FYI for people who think, oh, you can do a playthrough, just do me a playthrough, just throw it up there, and it's not a problem. I cannot count how many times the designers of their own games have screwed up the rules, and they have to say, oh, hold on, I need to reset this. Can we do this again?
Look at
everyone.
Look at Mark Walker, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't remember every rule in your own head, even if you design the thing. John Butterfield, Enemy Action Kharkov, we did 2 videos together. He made several mistakes that he's like, oh, I got to walk that back. No problem, because he's trying to present something, and he presented his ruling correctly, and he wants to correct it. So we reset it. So anybody who thinks that, my point is, if you think that us as content creators, just like anybody else in the audience, we're all equal when it comes to this. We're all war gamers, that we can sit down, throw down a game, and give you a good, proper playthrough 100% correctly. If you think that we're going to do that every time, you're sadly mistaken, because it isn't going to happen. And when even the designers get their own games wrong. So you can do a playthrough correctly 100%, but you're going to do, okay, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to edit this part out, but I'm looking up the rule. Okay, I did it right. Okay, now that's the way we would be doing it. If you shoot a live playthrough, most of the time it's going to be like, okay,
a lot of that dead air.
What am I going to do?
Yeah. It's tedious, man.
It's terrible. It's horrible.
I wouldn't watch that. I don't know why anyone who would ever watch. I haven't done live playthroughs here because I really can't, because of the environment at the moment. But they're trying to. Someone said, "Oh, play Course on Pocket 2 live." No, I'm learning the game and trying to really digest it and write up about it. Right? I can't play it live. It's just not.
Yeah, I actually had a publisher one time comment on one of my videos saying, "Wow, that was so good! You were able to talk straight about the game for a whole hour. That was amazing." And I'm like, No, that's just because I cut out all the blank spots in between when I stopped speaking.
Yeah.
You guys only see the hour in which I was talking, but yeah, there was a lot of not talking and looking at the rules and making sure I'm doing this right. I cut out all that dead air, but thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the video.
Thanks, E4. Appreciate that. And Andrew, giving you the big thumbs up there.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of work on A Most Fearful Sacrifice. I've actually got to get jumped back on there. I've been so damn busy. I got hit with 100 things all at once, and it's been hell trying to play catch up to get caught everything.
Well, we got 6 Actual said that was a good episode. Then, of course, Jester, the errata police, he says it's errata typic. Whoa. Your comment is invalid. If you can't even spell topic, then your comment is invalid. That is your opinion of errata, is it not?
Yeah, that's errata of errata.
That's errata of your errata comment.
That's great.
But, it's like the errata topic is pretty serious. You can see people actually care about the volume of errata, which is true. I mean, everyone does care about the volume. Everyone wants to cut it down. And like you were saying, even Bill admits it himself, to go back to that comment, what we were talking about before, and to close that piece out, he admits that they made mistakes in the past. And I think every company has made mistakes. It's part of growing growing pains of a company.
Sure.
And in some instances, it was very warranted. But when people bitch because there's a little strip of paper or 2 paragraphs in the box, no less, that says, here's errata. This counter should be, the numbers are flipped, or this is for this unit or whatever. It's like, okay, great. I know it out of the box. I don't need to go hunt it down.
Right.
It's like it's thrown in there. So it's like not a big deal. So they're trying to take steps to improve. And like you're in that project and you're seeing that yourself. And really in the end, whether it's Compass, GMT, MMP, Revolution, you name it, whoever, Lock and Load, it all comes down to the volume of people and the quality of effort that people are going to put into in getting these games to be tighter and better and more errata free. So, if people feel that serious about it, then get involved.
Yeah, get involved. It's not hard to get involved, and it's hard to stay involved because it's work, right?
Yeah, they find out real quick that it's not just sitting there playing a game and having fun. Yeah. You're actually having to put in work, critiquing the rules, going over it, making sure everything's appropriate. As long as the errata is under a page, we're good.
Yeah.
If you have to start thumbing through errata, then you've got a problem.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point right there. The playthrough developer and designer for Mr. President was great. Made sure to keep it going. It was exhausting with great info. And the other thing too about that, when you have any game, is when it comes to a war game or a game like Mr. President, which is just a simulation game, not a war game, there's going to be only so much gameplay you can actually show because it's a vast game. It's a time-consuming game. So,
right.
Are you going to even get through a turn, or are you going to get through just a few phases of a turn in the span of 2 or 3 hours? So that's the other thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, see, that's the difference between what we do and what's his name, the guy you mentioned earlier that does the
Rodney Smith.
does the playthroughs. It's like it's real easy for him. You hit the little bubble in the center, boop boop, and you move around the perimeter. You're good to go.
Those games are not all that easy. And they're not easy to shoot. Even if you're going to play like Trouble, to teach Trouble, that would still, I bet you, to teach that game, the instruction would be 3 to 7 minutes long, somewhere in that time frame. It would probably still take you 2 hours to shoot a video for that. No. To get the angles and everything. No, I mean to get a good presentation, and then you'd have to edit. So,
the only thing I'm going to take hours to film is if I'm shooting something with Becca Scott. I will take all the time necessary.
She's never going to game with you. Give it up.
I know. Doesn't mean I can't dream.
Your dream is her nightmare.
Yeah, really.
So Brian says, my biggest issue is playing my current game with the rules from my last game on the table.
Amen, brother. Living that dream.
Kev is the most ridiculous person I know when it comes to getting a game in and just throwing it on the table and just digging right into it. I'm like, how the hell do you do that without just, compartmentalizing these rules? But that's how, and then when you watch your Course and Pocket stuff, you've got the Course and Pocket out, Pocket 2 that you've been playing around with. And I think, like me, I'm sitting there going, oh my God. And I'm not like OCD or anything, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, that's why he does what he does. You got your counters on the map. They're not neatly stacked. You got the counters off on the side. You're just kind of jumbled up together off the map because you're just reaching for what you need and throwing it on the table and you're playing.
Right.
Because you're worried about playing. Me, I'm sitting there going, I'm always thinking, I want this to be neat and orderly, and I don't want that stack out of. It's just my weird way of playing, because otherwise I'll be like, crap, which heck was that stack in?
Right. Well, it is. So my very first comment to Rady about that game, when it was one of the first photographs he posted, it was a complete shit show with counters all over the place, and I was like, "Oh, great, dude! Thanks for just republishing a game from the 70s and 80s without updating anything or making the hexes any bigger." But it's 2 big maps, so the hexes really can't be any bigger. It's difficult. Well, I do a lot of that too, Fango. So I mean, I do both things. So, but that game is a dense game anyway. We just got to go, and I couldn't put Plex down because my Plex is in storage. So, and I've just refused to go. I'm not buying more, right? Because I have 20 sheets of it. I refuse to go and spend more money on something I already own. Anyway, so yeah, I did. So I like to get the game on the table though, and try and skim read the rules, and if it's got complicated stuff and things that I think are going to be difficult, then I'm going to take more time with it. But if it's feels like an SBI game, I look for all the things that are different and pay attention to that, and then just get going. Or if it feels like, if it's an SCS game, right, you just put it on the table and start playing. And
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. OCS or Lock on the Tactical or any of those games, they all play the same type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think, so getting to the point of our conversation.
Yes, that's why I was saying Carson Pocket 2 that you've been playing.
Yeah. So 11 weeks of summer for me. So if we start June-ish, first week in June, played, if we count Vietnam from GMT, that's actually set up on the table, that I haven't moved to counter on yet, but I'm ready to play. 12 games, 11 weeks, so 12 titles,
Wow.
11 weeks, 7 new games, with the two most interesting probably being Oak and Iron, of all things, with miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very, very cool. And then I love the Course on Pocket was actually pretty interesting to play. I loved my Deadly Northern Lights. That took 2.5 weeks to play that 4 turns. That was
Heartbreaker.
That was a heartbreaker, but that was excellent though. That was a lot of fun.
No,
And,
the heartbreaker for me that I sold it. I didn't get the second edition.
yeah, you're a dumbass. Yeah.
It just didn't. Things just didn't work out timing wise.
Right. And I also the surprise for me was the long road. So you and I played a couple of turns with Mark online, and then I played a solo scenario. I'm really digging that game. Mm-hmm. So the long road, Oak and Iron.
Wait, speaking of which, did they ever make T-shirts over that? The wife was actually bugging me over that the other day. The long road. There was some quote. God, I can't remember. Something about turrets and treads, tanks and fangs, something like that.
Tanks and fangs. That'd be fun.
Fang and claw. I know.
Yeah,
Fang and claw.
You know what I'm talking about?
That would be a T-shirt. That would be.
She was bugging about it. She did the guesses video on it, and she's like, "Oh wow, they should make a T-shirt of that." And Mark made a comment down below that saying that they were looking into it or something, and she keeps bugging me like, "Are they going to make a T-shirt? I want a T-shirt. I want a T-shirt with a tank and a werewolf." And
I'd like to see a tank werewolf T-shirt. That'd be kind of cool. But I would rather than be full color. I'd like to just see like an outline. The werewolf.
How would they do it?
That would be kind of cool. Yeah.
Without the all full color, because then it's got that sticky nonsense on the T-shirt. Anyway, so that's what I did this summer. That was my. I had some Marks and Miniature games going on Vassal. They've kind of petered out mainly because of me, and I've got a long-term Vassal game going with a buddy, and that's about it.
You, Nate?
Just swamped. Did Sparta. We talked about that previously. Real good game. Area control. It's the Sparta version of 2 Minutes to Midnight or Twilight Struggle, that type of gameplay. They did a good job with it. I enjoyed that. Obviously,
do you think it was like 2 Minutes to Midnight or Twilight Struggle, or you just talking about the same company?
It's same company.
Yeah, same company.
2 Minutes to Midnight. Yeah. I'm just saying it's similar in the vein, like red side versus a blue side trying to gain area control over sections of the map. That's about where the similarities end, but that basic principle, right? A Most Fearful Sacrifice, obviously I've been covering the shit out of, which I've still got to jump back onto. Volca Simulations, they contacted me, so I was really impressed with the components. Like, I was not expecting the quality. Like, those boxes are phenomenal. The components in the box are phenomenal. I am really looking forward to actually getting that one. What's the K word, the German word, the name of the game?
Which one?
Shit, you guys mentioned it earlier. I can't remember how to pronounce it. Donnerschlag.
Donnerschlag.
Donnerschlag. That's yeah. That's the one that I'm going to be covering on. It looks really, really good. Peruse the rules real quick.
Nice.
What else? I've had a bunch of other things that I've had on there. Oh, I'm going to be actually getting on to Blood Red Skies again. Turned out Warlord contacted me and they liked some of the stuff I'd done, so they sent me the newer box set of that and some of the expansions and Blue Falcon paints. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of these people, but you know how you have to try to match the paints to the military colors that they use.
Sure.
This company makes them that matches the airplanes. So I was tickled pink finding those in there, so I can actually paint it like the actual USMC color or Navy color, Imperial, Japanese Navy color, whatever they're going for.
Cool.
So I'm actually going to be touching on those. David, I don't know what a stretch goal is. Heath contacted me, and we're going to be doing. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
What you do first thing in the morning? You get up and you do your stretch goals. That way you're more limber for the day.
I'm sorry, man. I couldn't resist, David. Don't kill me. Point Blank, the newer card game of theirs.
Yep.
Mhm.
Have you guys gotten that box?
Not yet.
That box is not a box. That thing's a damn brick.
It's a tomb.
Like when I went to pick it up, I thought I was going to throw my back out. The thing must be packed full of cards because it's heavier than hell. But he wanted me to do a little bit of playthrough on that, showing some of the solitaire components of it.
Cool.
So I got that coming, and there was something else that just came in, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. I don't know. You ever notice that whenever someone wants you to do a review video on something, it seems like every company that ever wants you to do something all sends it to you all at once.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So I've gotten to where I've been telling them, like, okay, I can get to you in like 4 weeks or 5 weeks. As long as you're okay with that, I'll get to you. But it's going to be fall before I touch it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah, we're good with that. All right.
I've got 2 minutes not too. I haven't done that yet.
Oh, you should. It's actually good. I like it better than Twilight Struggle. I think it's deeper, got a lot more going on to it than.
It's like a Grognard's version of Twilight Struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. I wouldn't play if it was like Twilight Struggle. So.
Yeah, it's better than Twilight Struggle. Not to hate on Twilight Struggle, but there's a lot more going on. A lot of stuff like researching new technology, submarines, MIRVs, nukes, all that type of stuff.
You're playing the game, not your hand. That's the difference. You're playing the game.
Science tracks and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. A lot more going on with it.
Similar concepts, just a little more involved, in a different direction, but similar. So what else?
There was one other thing that I was going to mention, and the only other thing I've got going on is kind of tangentially related to everything that online company I've been blasting the hell out of. Did you see any of the videos over that?
Your today's video? Or
No, not today's. There was a company that kind of was pulling a scam. They were selling open box stuff as new.
Oh, you and I have talked about that offline.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta. If somebody's doing that and they're trying to pull a fast one and keep those points for themselves, they need to be named and shamed.
I ended up contacting Manic Games over that and getting involved with eBay. And I'm like, look, we're going Streisand effect with this. Because I would have left you alone. I would have just stopped with my little feedback and gone about my day, but you had to make it an issue. You had to push the issue trying to keep it quiet. So I'm not going to make it as big as I possibly can because you pissed me off. What I don't get is if you're caught, right? If I've got screenshots showing that you lied, showing that you changed it, just apologize and say, I'm sorry, we shouldn't have done that. And I'll move on. But you want to stand me in the ground over something that's not that big of a deal. I just don't get why you're doing it. That's why I started digging into all their listings and everything and finding out they were doing it over multiple different products. And I'm like, oh, well, I should report this to eBay and make sure that they know about this stuff. Yeah, keeping myself busy and occupied. But yeah, I've got a lot of stuff coming up. A bunch of reviews.
You got Nate over here with Project Gimpitas.
I can't help it, man. You know how it is. You piss a Marine off, he wants to take the fight the whole way.
Yeah.
And all I was looking for in the first place was just an apology. Just hey, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it. But when you call me a liar and say, look, we'll give you $1 if you'll just shut up and go away, I was like, no, that was the wrong. And that's like actually what they said to me in the email. that they responded to me. I'm like, yeah, now you're a pet project. I'm gonna make you famous.
So I've had kind of similar when I was trying to do all this move stuff. I was just kind of pushing a lot of things aside and not getting to games I wanted to get to. Well, I still had games in boxes too. Um, there was Halls of Hegra, which is one that I did, which is a game a couple of years ago called Dying the Purple that I had done a little bit of coverage on a written preview on it, and then I did the unboxing of it when the final game came in. And I built a little bit of a rapport with, like you were talking about reviewer bias. You build a rapport with these people. So he reached out to me and says, "Hey, would you like to do this?" And I was like, "Sure." I looked at the rules. And I was like, "Yeah, this looks like a pretty neat little solo game." And it's a Euro. I mean, it's not a war game. It's a historical war game. It's set in a historical theme and everything. And it's around a war. There's some, I don't want to say, there's combat kind of in it, but you're basically just assigning your workers essentially to do different things. But it was a really compelling game. It was fun. It moves real fast, like an hour and a half. And it reminded me of Dying the Purple in that it definitely gets the historical flavor across. And you're doing your worker placement sort of thing, but you're into it. You're having fun with it. And I dug it. And it's a solitaire specific game, so that makes it even better. So
time out, Mo. You should let them know that Kickstarter ends like today or tomorrow. So if they're interested in it.
That does end. I think it's today, actually. Let me see.
Yeah, there's only hours left.
Yeah. Let's see. Halls of Hegra. Here it is right here. 415% funded, 41 hours to go.
Yeah, so a couple days left. And I think Mo froze.
I'll put the link in here for anybody who's interested in it.
I think Jester.
There we go. I was switching screens if that might have been too.
Jester has.
So I put that link up there if anybody.
Oh, hold on. To answer LBW there, it was actually online retailer called Chaos Orc. One word.
Okay. So did that one, and then the one I got on the table right now is Iron Thunder. That one is another, I know we've all three talked about that game. And that is kind of a mashup, real light war game, mashed up with a Euro kind of very light resource management, some card play, things like that. He's intending to make it a very approachable strategy game, which is what it is. And you have these tanks like miniature tanks on board, which makes the game really look cool. If you're at your game store with your friends, people are going to come over and want to see it. So it's a smart way of getting some attention when people are playing a game. And there's a couple different modes of playing the game. You can play like Blitz, where you basically just put your units out there and you just go play Smash Mouth war game. You just punch each other around and see who wins. Then you have the realistic mode, which is the best way to go, which is all the rules. And that's where it gets a little bit more involved. And it's surprisingly tactical. I did not expect it to be as tactical as it was. It has a chess style of feel to it, but at the same time, because you lay out where your terrain features are yourself, you take turns laying out terrain features, you take turns laying out your resource buildings, and you decide where your headquarters goes, and based on where your headquarters is how your deployment zone is created. So you have agency in setting that up on a small board, and you can shape the battle space before you even start the fight, which I think is pretty cool. And then you get in there and you can use cards which can change things up quite a bit, like be able to do field repairs on a tank, or your infantry can attack a tank with better die roll, because Gimpy will like this. You got custom dice in this one, so it's pretty
cool. Custom dice? Oh my gosh. When's the Kickstarter?
In about another week and a half, I think it's going to actually go up. So I think next Tuesday or Wednesday. So, but it's fun, and I've enjoyed it, and it's fast playing, and I think it's the type of game that could appeal to a lot of people.
Yeah,
actually, to interrupt you there, if you like that, did you ever hear about Panzerkampf? I covered it. Stuka covered it.
I do remember the name. Is that
it's
the one
not
with
Hexenkampf?
That's with the miniature tanks, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember hearing that.
They actually sent me a prototype copy of that. They ended up getting an extra one they sent to me, and I've already covered it, so it's just sitting on my shelf now. If you want to give it a go over, I can send it over to you.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
All right.
I think that game you were talking about is he's trying to hit that market where he's trying to get miniatures war gamers like the what's the big World War II game?
Company of Heroes.
No,
He's talking about the
no real miniatures. It's FO something, FOW or
Flames of War.
Flames of War. I think he's trying to get the Flames of War guys excited about playing a board war game that has miniatures. That's one of the intersects that he's looking at. And then the other intersect, I think, is introductory war game for people who want to play games with bits, right? And I think that's an interesting space to try and be in. I don't know that it's going to be super exciting or attractive to a lot of people who are already playing war games, already deep into it. They might like it as a light game or as an introductory game to share with their friends, but I don't know that it doesn't come across as a rich enough game. But I think it's got some layers to it, but I don't know that it's.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does have layers to it, and there's more to it than what I'm previewing for the Kickstarter is the core game. So he does have plans to expand and add in different types of troops and things like that. So in that regard,
APCs, snipers, medics.
It's like a sophisticated Memoir 44, right?
Yeah, it is. It's like a grown-up Memoir 44 is what it is.
Which is cool. I like the spaces on the map. You know, the way they're done. The movement stuff is different too, so it's cool.
And the other thing too is that I like is it's not just moving a tank from space to space. You get so many action points, 3 or 4 action points depending on your vehicle. You can say I'm 2 hex away or 3 hex away, and I've got a 2 hex range, but you're over to my left slightly at like a 45-degree angle. I can spend 1 action point to move up 1. Now you're in range. I can spend another action point to traverse my turret. Now I can take you on. However, I may be giving you my side shot. So in retaliation. So that's one of those things like, do you want to do that? Or do you want to take the extra turn and put your front slope facing him and not shoot till next turn? So it's one of those things, and you get 3 hit points till you're dead. So you might end up with the storm tanks. They have like 2 hits that they can shrug off, and the max you're going to get probably is about 3 potential hits. So you're probably only going to get through 1. So the fights are not over instantaneously, which is cool too. They go on a little bit. And you can repair it too at the end of the turn.
Yeah.
One of the things I've really liked about that was the fact that the dice had the little star icons on them that went with the experience. So as a unit gained experience, there was the chance for it to do that extra damage if it had that many experience levels, which went up to 3. So that was good. It gave you incentive to have a reason to back your experience tank off and not get it destroyed, because now it's experienced, so you want to repair it. You want to keep it in the battle rather than having to rebuild it, and now it's base tank again. It doesn't have that experience.
Yeah, me and Kev had answered that, but this is for Iron Thunder, which I'll have a video out on this next week. That I'll be doing some kind of playthrough. I'm not going to be able to, with the way my setup is right now, I can't do like a straight playthrough, and kind of what we were talking about before. I will do a playthrough, but I'm going to edit out the dead spaces and just blend them all together, so that way you're not sitting there watching me move stuff around the whole time. That's boring.
I think the more I think about it, I think it's one of those games that the designers really put a lot of thought into the game system, and it's different. And so it deserves a little respect and love just for that, more than anything else. I mean, whether or not you end up loving the game or just liking it, I think people that are taking the time and the effort to try and come up with something new and different and innovative instead of slapping the same old 1980s design out with a couple of nice counters and some cool dice or a nice linen satin box. You guys are actually innovating.
Yeah, and he's also what his target really is what you were talking about, is that crossover. It's the guys who, we're all war gamers. Maybe we got kids or we got friends that have been hesitant to play or curious, but they're not going to sit down and play X and counter game. Well, you can play something like this because you can knock it out in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, or something like that. That's one of those games that would fit that mold. If you have kids, it's even better because then you can sit down and play it with them, and you can get them to get that war game bug. If you've got some friends that have never played a war game, they're just hobby gamers, well, this is going to be appealing to them because it's going to have some mechanics they're familiar with, resource management, things like that. And then the war game aspect is going to be not difficult for them to grok. So it'll be easy for them to conceptualize in their head and to understand when they play. So for that, I think it's a really good, it's going to fit in that space real well. And then,
but it's light, right?
It's light. Yeah, it's light, but it has a little bit more depth than you might think. The core game. Now I expect him to have a lot more depth, the more stuff he has on, which is good.
Yeah, when he mentioned the infantry to me, because that was something that I was like, it could use more with the infantry than it has now. Yeah, I like how the infantry do have to control the buildings. You can't just focus tanks. You got to have them to get in there and get the resources and then hold those resources, turn after turn to keep your army going. But if he adds in those specialized infantry stuff like medics that, keep your squads going, that I think will be key to just give it that extra little bit that it needs.
Sure. And I was saying even to him when I was playing, I was like, I'd take a picture of the board and I'd email him saying, hey, I got a question here. I know this is not in the rules, but when it comes to, like, I just had one the other night I sent to him, you've got, like we're talking about, one infantry in the building to maintain control of the building, maintain control of the resource. Well, right next to him, I've got a 3 infantry formation. There's 3 troops, and I've got Germans coming around the side. And I was like, well, what about having these guys that are on the side, they come out, the Americans, they come support the defense of that building because it's a resource building. You'd think that if they're there, they're going to want to jump in and try to, they're going to be an Overwatch, and they're going to want to attack anybody that's going to assault the building. And he's looking at trying to not allow turtling. That's one of his big concerns is turtling. So in that regard, he's concerned that anybody will pull their buildings back as far as they can, put as much terrain around them, and then they just sit there the whole time and turtle. I was like, yeah, well, then if they're going to turtle, then you just add in maybe the best way to handle turtling, I think, is, which he doesn't have yet, is to add in APCs, your half tracks, and you can just zoom your infantry up there really fast because infantry have to go across real slow, only 2 movement points each. Well, you just run them up there, disembark them, and let them attack.
Or you can gun down their base.
Yes, you can gun down their base or add in some aircraft. And then speaking of aircraft, that sounded like an aircraft right there.
I was gonna say, is that Kev breaking wind over there? What's going on?
Wasn't me.
So that one, and then of course Sparta, which we talked about. You played that as well, and I'm digging it. I love the miniatures. The miniatures are gorgeous, and the gameplay is really cool.
But that resin is so brittle. I broke one. I felt bad about it.
Well, yeah, it's resin, so you do have to. I'm like really I put them down old gentle and stuff. They're there for show for the video. They're not there for anything else.
I was moving my tripod, my little gyro tripod, and I came across one of the Athens ships, and the sail just went snap. I was like, no. I was able to fix that up though.
And then got that one. That one's been a lot of fun. And then and that's it for any sort of Kickstarter previews. I just got in a copy of Flashpoint South China Sea, which Harold and GMT sent to me. So I'll be checking that out.
You special. GMT sent you a game, even if it is a solitaire.
Mark it down. First one ever.
So, which Harold was this? Buchanan?
Harold Buchanan, yeah. So he sent a copy of that. Gene sent that out from GMT, sent it out. So I'm curious to see how that plays. And then you've got the ones that I just talked about recently, The Knight and Volters Lead the Way from Herm Lettman. And the
Volters, not Volters, Bolters.
Volters.
I told him he needs to change that to a B already.
But
be done with it.
So Vultures Lead the Way. That one's, along the same, using the same system as in Magnificent Style and Crowbar. Just kind of change things up, use cards, stuff like that. And then I played the Night last week, and I was like, I was tired. I was like, I'm going to play something that's fairly light. So I played that. Next thing you know is I started doing a running narrative on Twitter about the game, and it was a lot of fun. It's basically Night of the Living Dead, and it's,
you're holed up in the house, right?
You're holed up in a house, and you're basically just facing a wave of undead, and you're trying to make it to the morning. And base game as it is, if you get a couple firearms like I did, it's not difficult to win. I mean, it's not difficult to win at all. I mean, you're probably going to pretty much hose everything pretty quick. So what I did was I kind of put myself into a room. I said, well, I want to see how this works when I kind of, consign myself to one room and get into close combat with these guys. That's when it got bad. A couple of my guys went down and they died and they reanimated and they came back. And Barbara was sitting there with the shotgun and she was missing. And Karen, the kid, she's like, Barbara, you suck with that thing. It was just great. I had a lot of fun with it. But
I was tempted on that one. Would you say that's a get, especially if you like zombie stuff?
If you love zombie stuff, you love Night of the Living Dead, it's definitely a get. And I don't want to say definitely get. It's something that if you're into that, check it out for sure. Consider it. Strongly consider it. Once I play it again with the optional rules, which I think are going to be necessity to, like having weapons jams, things like that, I think that's going to make it a lot more interesting. Now, I already have other ideas that I want to play after I play with the optional rules to make it a little more tactical, a little more wargamey. Maybe some modifiers and things like that to make it more complex. But I mean, not super complex, just to add another layer to it. Because
more flavor.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot more fun because it's good the way it is, though.
It looks interesting, but generic, a little bit generic.
It is, yeah. But out of the box, though, I had fun with it, and I think with the optional rules, it'd be better.
What did you think of Caucasus Burning? I played that as well. That was one of the games I played.
I liked that one. Yeah, I liked it. I actually did I kind of took a page out of your book, did my post-game thoughts / preview or review. Because I'm finding that's the best way to do a review is right after you play the game. Just sit down. You've played it a few times, and you're like, okay, I got some ideas, I got some notes. Let me play it one more time, and as soon as I'm done, I'm going to set up the camera and just run off at the mouth about it. And that's what I did, and I enjoyed it. Uses the 65 card system. It's operational, but it works in the operational sense. Which
I was kind of surprised, right? Yeah, I was kind of surprised that it worked that way.
But it works operationally because this game is really tactical more than it is operational. Because you're dealing with a very small area that's really hemmed in, and there's not a lot of movement. So I'm curious to see how it'll be with a lot more movement.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to play that one opposed. It was a little tricky solo.
It is. And reaction cards especially.
for reactions, But I was also the only thing I was disappointed in was that because that game is kind of that war has been the Naguro. Is it Naguro? I think is what it's called. Naguro.
Yeah, Nagorno.
Azerbaijanis versus whoever, Armenians, and I think is it Armenia?
Armenians.
Yeah, and so that conflict has been touted as the the nascent. Hey, Stuka, what's up, man?
Joe.
That game's been touted. That war has been touted as sort of the beginning of the usage of drones and drone-based technologies and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I was kind of looking for more of that. I was hoping, because it was just cards for that, and I'm looking for something that's going to help us understand a little bit more about that in a modern context. So anyway, that was my only beef with it. Yeah, I thought it was hard to play solo.
Well, if they get a Vassal mod, we can play it and try that if that ever gets created, or the tabletop simulator mod too. And we have to revisit the Long Road, because if anybody's not seen us play the Long Road, while what was it?
God, that was so much fun, just demolishing your tanks.
Oh my God, it was so much fun for Kev because he was just like rolling perfect. Every friggin' roll he had was perfect, and my guys were just getting picked off at range. And I was just like, all right, well, just gotta keep going. And then I would fire back, and I would be like, here he is, and I'm shooting like a stormtrooper. I'm totally missing. And I'm like,
That was awesome. It was so awesome.
Then I got through that tree line. I started to break through that tree line when we just about finished up, and I was like, now we start getting into the area where it might get interesting for the Soviets and a little bit more difficult for the Americans, because now we're in that we're getting in that closer range where now the Soviets can hit. The Americans have that advantage, that range advantage. So you had already picked off a bunch of my stuff, but maybe, punching through that line now, I'll have a little bit better luck. But then again, my rolls always suck anyway, so it doesn't matter. But that storm added a really cool aspect to it too.
Yeah, that was very cool. That was Fubarin, my key guy. Yeah. So.
Yes. Yeah. So I like that aspect of the supernatural too, because it was just a little bit. It didn't dominate the game, but it had a severe impact at certain points.
Yep. Very cool.
Pretty cool job. So hopefully we'll get to play that again. And Nate, I think, wants to play too.
I wouldn't mind. I have looked forward to trying that one out. I have not got a chance to yet. But anything with vampires, werewolves, and crap like that will definitely be up my alley.
Yeah, we could do a 3-player. I'm sure we could, or a 4-player. We get Mark to play on one side, and
that one would be cool.
Yeah, do it like free for all. Americans versus Soviets versus supernatural shit.
There you go. Yeah, and actually you could have 2 dudes doing supernatural, and then one Soviets, one US.
Yeah.
That would work.
That would be interesting.
That would actually be kind of fun. That would be
because you have the U.S. and the Soviets just going head to head, and then the creatures, the supernatural monsters, all of a sudden to be like, okay, who do we want to screw with next? Oh, let's hit these guys. Let's hit this guy. That he's too successful. You got to take him out. Stuff like that. Or would it be interesting to see if the U.S. and the Soviets say, screw this, let's both get those guys?
Right. Exactly.
So that'd be kind of cool too.
Remember when the 3 of us ganged up on Walker and put out of the resistance?
Yeah. I don't think he was too happy with that.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, if we did that, he'd probably be like, guys, I don't have rules for this. The U.S. and the Soviets working together against the supernatural. Hey, we're going to make it up on the fly. We'll just create a whole new scenario on the fly.
Yeah.
But that's fun stuff.
No, that was not me. What is that? Who is that?
What is that?
Who's got a buzzsaw?
It sounded like someone was like coming in with a chainsaw or something.
I know we got a murderer going on somewhere.
So my outdoors at the moment, we've got 5 or actually 7 huge burn piles going right now. So you hear that? So my place looks like a.
Mo's doing it. He's laughing.
No, I'm not. I'm muting my mic, so I'm not laughing out loud while you guys are talking.
It must be.
It's definitely Mo. It's Mo.
It's your background.
He's playing games, man.
Yeah.
But I'm muting my mic.
Yeah, but the noise was only coming through when you weren't muted.
How's it coming through now?
Yes.
Oh. Sorry, I had Taco Bell for dinner. So now it's just a couple contracts we're just cleaning up, the bathtub over there. Take care of it.
Oh, so you knew what the hell was going on. Why are you messing with us?
Yeah, we're just doing some work in the other room. My wife decided to do all of our online, so she didn't want to wait.
Why wait, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to do this, and I'll come out. And she's like, I didn't know you were online. It's like, yeah, you did.
Now we know who's in charge at Mo's house.
Well, she's impatient right now.
I think that was a given.
Yeah. So, you know how that goes. So, what was I going to say? Aside from that, what do you guys have that you're looking forward to that you haven't played yet that you've got?
Looking forward to having a wife who does what she's told.
Wow.
Wow, that'll get back.
No, it won't, because nobody here knows how to contact her. At least, God, I hope not, because she sees it, kill me.
The next video that you do with her, when she guesses, there'll be comments.
There won't be Gimpy's gal guesses. It'll be Gimpy gets it, and that's what's going to happen right there. She's going to be like, "Oh yeah, about that comment you made about me." Here
No,
we
you
go.
should try to set something up with Walker. Contact him and see if
Yeah.
he's game to doing the long road. That'd be a good idea. I think that would
Okay.
actually be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
So Jester wants to know what was the best game that we played this summer.
For me, Deadly Northern Lights was the most fascinating. Most fun was probably a toss-up between the Long Road and, I love playing Lock and Load Vietnam. I did a scenario of that. That was awesome. I could never just pick one. Sorry. I liked them all. It's all good.
I probably have to say of the war games, it would be A Most Fearful Sacrifice. That one's definitely spent the most time on my table. I've had a lot of fun with that one. Unfortunately, I still have Sacred Oil on a separate table, but that room got blocked up with some storage, so I haven't been able to get back to it as of yet. But I am hoping to get back to that one soon. But that one, that is like such the war gamers game because it is so damn deep. You could never play that game without having the rule book nearby, just in case, because there's just so much going on, like all the interconnecting pieces. But it is a fun one, a real deep one.
Yeah, that's one that you have to be prepared to commit time to and everything else, and have all the resources next to it. That sound is killing me. I can hear it right through the wall. But talk about interrupting. I would say for me, Long Road, and then the one that I'm really looking forward to the most, which I'm trying to clear my table so I can sit down with, is Red Strike.
Is which?
Red Strike from VUCA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm super curious about that one. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Because I'm debating whether I'm going to order or not.
Every time I go to talk, it's like.
Well, this
Dude.
is awesome.
You gotta pick a better game to play with your wife. We got like hide and seek or something. You got like the construction guy game.
Well, no, this is what's called impatience. It's like she just wants to get going on something and not let me be able to do what I need to do. So,
Dude, are you in your new house or is this still your old house?
this is the new house. That's why everything is so easy to hear, because this is a smaller house. So it's like she's right on the other side of the wall right now. So that's
See,
why.
now if you had listened to me, we would be in a whole different ball game right now.
What's that?
We get one house, we put the wives and the kids in it, and me and you have a nice big warehouse right next door with filming space and bookcases and tables for games.
Well, that's what we're talking about in Kerrville.
We could turn this barn into
Wargame compound.
the Whiskey Charlie compound.
World headquarters. Whiskey Charlie World headquarters.
We can work out some sort of special deal for you guys to build your own place, your own houses on around the corner.
I'm willing to bet that deal would be really appealing to Mo right now.
Well, I'm looking for it anyway, because this house is just ours for 5 years, and we're selling it because I'm planning to retire in 3 to 5 years, and then at that point sell this house, move someplace else, and that'll be it. Retirement location where I can war game and shoot video and everything else, and have a retirement life
and live alone.
Well, that would be a benefit for shooting videos and playing war games, but no, I don't think I'm going to be living alone anytime soon. So
yeah, which one of you two is going to be the cook?
Yeah, well, my wife cooks. When I cook, it's real easy. I just pick up the phone and order out. And,
right.
I can actually cook. I'm actually the cook between the two of us. She burns food, so it's me who has to take care of that. Oh my God, what is she doing?
I don't know, but I'm going to find out here in a minute after we're done, because I got to find out.
Yeah, maybe that may be our cue.
That pretty much is the cue, and I'm going to be like, hey, thanks for interrupting the last 15 minutes of the show with that thing that you were doing. But and we were only going to be going like an hour and a half anyway, so I think we pretty much have covered everything we wanted to cover, and we've got Fango saying he's making red beans and rice. So.
Oh, I make a good red beans and rice. Get a little sausage in there, let it stew, slow cook in there all day, get that flavor into the beans. My wife loves my red beans and rice.
There you go. And then Charles saying I'd have more room for games and my family would just go out on their own.
I love it. I love it.
I keep telling her if we would stop feeding the kids, I would have so much more money for games, and she just doesn't like that idea. She's got this idea that we've got to feed them, clothe them, educate them.
Misguided. There goes that damn. So on that note, everybody, we are going to call it a night, and I got to find out what the hell the construction is going on in the next room.
It sounds like she's cutting through the wall. I'm waiting for your head to just
I
pop
know.
off.
Just trying to get through, saying you can't be doing your shows. You can't be playing new war games. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. And sorry it took a while to get back online, but we've been busy, especially me. We were going to do it last week, but somebody had a spousal birthday that they had to take care of.
It was her birthday.
Yes, it was. And happy birthday again to her. But we will be back here.
And likewise to you. Yours was a few weeks ago.
Yes, yeah. Mine was back in July, the end of July. And my wife's is actually 13 days prior to that. So it's a busy month plus our anniversary that month too. And then that's where she got the new saw that she's playing around with, that saw that we've been using. So
A birthday gift, right?
exactly. But no,
You couldn't have got her a vacuum or something?
well, yeah, I know. That's what I should have done. And then yeah, John, honey, I'm home. Here's Johnny. But so we will be looking at doing some stuff here in the next few weeks. Hopefully some Friday night fights, get back into that. And whether it's just two of us or all three of us or maybe more. So we'll try to get something going here with Long Road and have a lot more fun with that and see what we can do with the Supernatural as well as the U.S. and the Soviets.
Sounds cool.
But everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. We will catch you on the next one.
Look.
Really appreciate you guys being here.